Hello, welcome to Saturday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and on screen we have a puzzle celebrating America's Independence Day. You know, this is the sort of thing we do on Cracking the Cryptic to show there are no hard feelings. Obviously, a long time ago now, a lot of water under the bridge, and we don't bear grudges. No, this looks a very, very interesting puzzle, and the testing feedback on this is that it is a very hard puzzle as well, and is... I was warned I would need to concentrate very hard. It's a narrow solution path and, yeah, a very elegant but difficult puzzle. So if you're into your sandwich Sudoku and your thermo Sudoku, and you should be if you've got our apps and you're well practiced, this should be a good workout today. The puzzle's by Rappa, and Alexander, when he wrote me an email, said that when the grid is completed, there is a surprise in the finished solution once you convert all the letters to numbers. You can see there are some letters in the grid. I'll outline the rules in a moment. Firstly, though, before we get on to that, I want to tell you, well, we get an awful lot of emails on the channel saying that our videos apparently help people with their general levels of anxiety and stress. I think especially in the world at the moment, which is full of some really rather remarkable situations. And yeah, we also apparently help people to sleep better. Now, we're delighted about this, but we don't pretend to understand why. And I got in touch with an old friend of mine who is a mental health campaigner, and asked him whether he knew anything about this. And he's gone away and done some research on the topic. And yeah, he believes there is something in it. And Rob, who's a founder of a company called InsideOut, which is, again, that's quite an interesting company. Basically, what it does is it takes very, very high profile business people, and these business people reveal that they have mental health issues and talk about how they've dealt with them. And Rob and his friend Maff, who's also a founder of a company called Camarados, which is a brilliant sounding social enterprise where basically they create communities of people who support each other, and you know, it definitely sounds good for people's mental well-being to me. Anyway, they have created a video talking about oddly satisfying things. Oddly satisfying is it's one of a big thread on Reddit where people sort of post stuff they found oddly satisfying. And apparently, Sudoku videos fall into this category. We are oddly satisfying. And yeah, there's a whole school of thought on why oddly satisfying things help with reducing stress. And Rob and Maff have produced what I thought was quite an entertaining and interesting video on the topic. So I'm going to link that under this video, for any of you who might want to take a look at it. Now, what else do I want to say? Anything more about that? No, I don't think so. Let's get on to Alexander's puzzle. And let me tell you the rules. So basically what we've got is standard, sandwich and thermo rules applying. So if you're not familiar with those, let me run you through them. So thermometers, you can see there are some thermometers in the grid. And the way thermometers work is you have to put the lowest number on a thermometer at the bulb end. And then as you move along the thermometer, the temperature rises and the digit has to increase. So thermometers are very easy. Outside the grid, we've got these sandwich Sudoku clues. Now, sandwich Sudoku clues, the way they work, let's imagine that F, when we decoded it, let's imagine that was a 9. Then, if this was a 9 clue, that would be saying that between the 1 and the 9 in this column, let's imagine the 1 and the 9 were in those two cells, these two cells would have to sum up to 9. If, on the other hand, F was 7, these two cells, the cells between the 1 and the 9, would have to sum up to 7. So that's how sandwich clues work. You can see there's a UF clue here. This isn't U times F, it's saying that U is the tens digit, F is the units digit. So this could be, I don't know, this could be 12, or it could be 35, I suppose. It could be, or any number in between. F can't be 0 because every single digit, every single letter of 4th of July, every unique letter, there are 9 unique letters, very serendipitously, decodes to a unique digit. So you can see on the right hand side what I've done is put a little table for us to use. As we decode these letters, we can put in what numbers they decode to on the right hand side. One downside of my doing this is that the check function won't work. So hopefully if I can solve the puzzle, just use the final grid that I come up with as your check. That's going to be the best thing to do. Anything else to mention? I don't think so. So I've done the thermo rules, I've done the sandwich rules, we've talked about decoding all the letters. I think we're ready to go. Do have a go at the puzzle first. You just click on the link under the video to play. And with that, let's get cracking. And where shall we start? Let me have a look. I'm tempted to start actually with the U, because I know that U must be 1, 2 or 3. How do I know that? Well, it's because if I push the 1 and the 9 as far apart as I can in column 7, what would the sum of the sandwich be? Well, if I know that the whole column contains the digits 1 to 9, then the whole column adds to 45. If I deduct 1 and 9 from 45, the maximum total I can get for a sandwich is 35. So this U simply has to be a 1, 2 or a 3. Now U is there and there. Let's put that in 1, 2 or 3. Now actually we can do some Sudoku straight away, look. Because if these two digits are the same, where do we put the U in those 3 squares? Well, U and O are not equal to each other. That each letter decodes to an individual digit, so we can't put whatever U is here. As U is 1, 2 or a 3, we can't put a 1, 2 or 3 this far along a thermometer. Even if we try a 3 there, 2, 1, that would be a 0, that would be a minus number, so that's definitely not going to work. So actually I think this square has to be equal to U and therefore has to be a 1, 2 or a 3. So we've made a little bit of progress there, but maybe not enough. No, I'm not seeing anything else. So maybe we look at the thermometers next. This thermometer is of length 7. So this square can't be higher than a 3, because if we try 4 there, we'd go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 is not a valid digit in a Sudoku, or at least not this Sudoku. So we can put in some options here, can't we, like this. Oh, yeah, okay. So now F is a sandwich clue. So F cannot equal 1. And the reason for that, obviously, is if we try and make F1, we're saying that sandwiched between the 1 and the 9 in this column are cells summing to 1. Well, that would mean I would have to put a 1 in the sandwich, and that would repeat the 1 in the column. So that's why F can't be a 1. So if F can't be a 1, where does the 1 go in box 1? It must be in one of those 2 cells. So there is no 1 along there. Okay, that's great and all that, but it seems to be completely useless. And we all know the word for that, and that word is bobbins. No. This square, look. That can't be a 9, because if it's a 9, F has to be a single digit. So let's make it as big as possible. Let's make it 9. Those 2 squares, the minimum they can add up to is 11. So even if I put the 1 there, I'd have 11 at least sandwiched between the 1 and the 9. That's not possible. So this square, I don't think it can be a 9. And once... Oh, what did I do then? Oh, once this can't be a 9, obviously this can't be an 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. So we actually get a little bit... So now the 9 in this box is locked into one of those 2 cells. So can F be equal to 9? That would be useful, wouldn't it? We've got lots of F clues. Look, actually F is the most... F and O, we've got 1, 2, 3... We've got 4 O clues. And we've got 1, 2... 3, 4, 5 F clues, although this F clue is combined with a U clue. O, look, O has to be 6 or 7. It's on the thermometer, so that's got to be a 6 or a 7. O is 6 or 7. So this is 6 or 7, this is 6 or 7. Unfortunately, 6 or 7 is also not that helpful. So what we need to do is we need to work, well, maybe can F be equal to 9? That would be useful to know. I tell you what I should do first. I should label up this thermometer. So this thermometer is a bit strange. It's got sort of branches coming off the bulb. But fundamentally, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there are 7 cells higher than whatever I put in the bulb here. So I can't put a 3 in the bulb, because if I do, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, broken. So this is a 1 or a 2. But because this could be 3, 4, there's effectively 2 more degrees of latitude as we move along the top of this thermometer, which is not helpful at all. Ah, that's annoying, isn't it? Oh, I think I've done that wrong, actually. I have done that wrong. 6. I want to make sure I don't hit 9 too quickly. 8. That's better. 5, 6, 7, 8. Then this should be 6, 7, 8, 9. No, okay, but now we can, this can't be 9, and this can't be 9 for the same reasons over here that this couldn't be 9. If we make this 9, we know O is 6 or 7, but the minimum I could make those two squares would be 5 and 4. That would be 9. So that doesn't work, because the 1, even if I put the 1 there, I'd have too big a sandwich. So this is not 9. So therefore, is that going to help me? Yeah, that gets rid of digits along this, look. So 9 in this box is now in one of 3 positions. And 1 in this box is in one of 2 positions. Oh, seemed to get a bit of lag there. It's like I'm playing StarCraft again. Yeah, 1 obviously can't go along the thermometer because there couldn't be a digit lower than a 1 on the thermometer. So the 1 is in one of 2 positions. The 9 is in one of 3 positions. But yeah, okay, this is interesting to me, or a little bit interesting. We've got the clues up here, UF and F, are both positive numbers. So it's not possible for us to have 1s and 9s in the same column here. So if this is 1, this can't be 9. If this is 1, the 9s would be here. If this is 1, the 9 has to be there. Gosh, wouldn't it be useful if we knew the totals down this side? This feels important. So, yeah, because I was thinking about whether F could be 9, wasn't I? So if F was 9... Yeah. This doesn't work. This doesn't work. If F's 9, this square is a 9. And now, from the logic I just did in terms of the fact that we can't have 1s and 9s in the same column, as this can't be a 9, the 9s would be in one of those 2 squares. Therefore, this has to be a 1. And I've now got to make those 2 cells add up to at least 19. Well, that's just total nonsense. That's not possible. So F is not 9. Now, if F is not 9, that is not 9. So this is 9. And that gives us a 1 as well. And so, I tell you what I think I should do. I'm going to employ the best tip I can give you for sandwich Sudoku, and that is to highlight cells that cannot be 1s and 9s. So you can see that as I've got 1 and 9 locked in box 1 here, none of those squares can be a 1 or a 9. None of those squares can be a 1 or a 9. I'm going to colour those in green. So we've got 1 and a 9 here. We know that F... I mean, one other thing I've just noticed actually is, look, in this line here, I've got all of the letters of fourth. Therefore, these 3 squares in the row must decode to the other letters, which are J, L, and Y. So these 3 squares are J, L, and Y. I'm not sure if that's useful. So one of J, L, and Y must be a 2 or a 3, we can deduce from that. Probably not that helpful. Ah, look, U can't be 2 anymore. If we try and make U 2, I can't put a 2 in box 1 because there's no room. This can't be a 2, that can't be a 2, and all the other digits have to be higher than 2. So we get to limit U a little bit. U can't be, therefore that can't be 2. U is a 1 or a 3. U is 1 or 3. So this square is either 10 something or it's 30 something. 30 something is quite interesting now, isn't it? Because this square can't be a 1 or a 9. Yeah, this is interesting. This is interesting. Because a sandwich clue of 30 or higher, well, this can't actually be a sandwich clue of 30 because F can't be 0. So an F can't be 1. So this, if U is 3, this clue has to be 32 or 33 because 34 is not a valid sandwich clue. You can see that if I try and put 34 in between the 1 and the 9, there would have to be a cell equal to 1 outside the sandwich. But if there's a cell equal to 1 outside the sandwich, the 1 is axiomatically repeated in the column. It's in the sandwich crust, being the 1 and the 9, and it's outside as well. So UF would have to equal, well, no, if U is 3, F can't be 3 as well. So actually, this clue, if U is 3, F has to be 2. So F would have to be 2. That would make... that does it. That's broken. That's broken. That doesn't work. Because, now look, once I get the 1 here, this cell has to be outside the sandwich, and that cell is outside the sandwich. So there are 2 outies in the column. If I put the 9 here, so what we're saying is these somehow, I mean, this is totally broken, but let me just run through it. I mean, these 5 cells would have to add up to 32. Plus 1 plus 9 is 42. So those 2 squares would have to sum up to 3, and they'd have to therefore be 1 and 2, and you get repeat 1 and 2 in the column. So it's just, that's never going to work. So U is 1. This is good news. This is good news. So we get a 1 here. We can put a 1 in our grey box. Now, what does this tell us about the world? It tells us... it tells us where the 1 goes. In box 9, it can't live here anymore, so it must be on the bulb of the thermometer, which is perhaps the least helpful thing, because it's the place we probably have guessed. But at least it's progress. 1 must be in one of those 2 cells. 1 must be in one of these 2 cells by Sudoku. So this clue now is between 12 and 18 inclusive. The 9 in this box now can't be here because we've already looked at whether the 1 and the 9 can be in the same column. So the 9 is here. The 9 is here in one of these 2 squares, and F is a maximum of 8, and 8 has a maximum length as a sandwich clue of 2 cells. So the 1 can't possibly be here because that would be a sandwich of at least 4 cells. So this is not 1, the 1 must be here. Now Now the O clue is interesting, look, because the O clue, well, it's a positive digit, so neither of those squares can be the 9. None of those squares can be the 9. In fact, I can do a bit better than that. So the 9 is in one of these two cells in box 6. So yeah, right, now look, in box 6, I've locked the 1 into this domino, I've locked the 9 into this domino. So those squares can be greened out. And now this clue's getting a bit restricted, isn't it? UF has a maximum value of 18, and the 9 has got to be in one of those two cells. So if this was the 9, you'd have to have a 5-cell sandwich. But a 5-cell sandwich has to add up to 20. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 adds up to 20. That's not possible. So this is not 9. This is 9. Oh, look now. So now we've got to put a 9 in one of those two cells by Sudoku. So either T or R is equal to 9. Now, but R can't be 9, because if we put a 9 there, look what that does to the Y clue. We've got to make that long sandwich then add up to a single digit. Well, that's total nonsense. So this R is not 9. This isn't. So we get T. T is 9. And we don't have the sandwich total for this column. That's annoying. But okay, we can do lots more greens. This is an incredibly good puzzle. It is not easy though. I mean, I've hardly made a dent in the 1s and 9s yet, let alone the actual main part of the Sudoku after 20 minutes. Right, let's do more greens down there, just because we've got the 1 and the 9 in the column. Y can't be 9 now, so Y is a maximum of 8, which is a maximum of a 2-cell sandwich. So that's green. And then one of those two squares has got to be the 9. So which we could have obviously done if we'd looked at this thermometer at all. So this could be 9 or this could be 9. And this is equal to... Oh, there's a bit of logic we can do. Look at that. There's an F in the sandwich here. So if effectively, therefore, we've got 10 plus F. And once we remove this F from the sandwich total, therefore, those 3 squares must add up to 10. The only way of making 3 cells add up to 10 inside the sandwich, because you can't use a 1, is with 2, 3 and 5. So this square is not 4. And these two are 2, 3 and 5. So there's a 2, 3, 5 triple now in column 7. O is equal to 6 or 7, isn't it? So it doesn't. Okay, all right, I'm a bit stuck now. F. Do we know anything about F? We know it's not 2, 3 or 5. Just notice something, look. If we look at this column, I've got H, F and Y in this column. So H, F and Y cannot be 2, 3 and 5. So H, F and Y have to be taken from 4, 6, 7 and 8. That square's got to be 4, 6, 7 and 8 as well, just to complete the column. So H, F and Y have got to be 4, 6, 7 and 8. I feel like that should mean something to me and make me understand something important, but it's not doing. And that is frustrating, my friends. That is frustrating. Okay, what am I meant to be looking at next then? Maybe I need to... This is a 6 or a 7, so this square's got to be a 7 or an 8. That's got to be an 8 or a 9. So O is equal to 6 or 7. Is there something we can do to limit the values of, or limit the lengths of anything here? 4, 6, 7 or 8. So F is 4, 6, 7 or 8. Let's put that in up there and see if that tells us anything. 4, 6, 7 or 8. So where does the... So F can't be 2, so that's got to be a 2. It's the only place a 2 can go. F can't be 3, so that's got to be a 3. 5 must be in one of those two cells. So we get a 2, 3 pair in this box. Wow, this is very, very tricky. I've got something. Yes, I have got something. This is important. Let's look at this square in the context of the O clue. Can this be a 1? Well, if this is a 1, how do I make the O clue work? The minimum I could make the sandwich is a size 9 with the 2 and a 7 there. But we know that O is 6 or 7. It's not equal to 9, so this can't be a 1. So the 1 must be here. And F is a positive number, so it can't be... So we get a 2-cell sandwich now. But F is not 9. We know that because T is 9. So the 9 must go here. This square is therefore... So both of those squares turn green. And we can do the same trick with the 9. Look, where does the O clue? We can't put the 9 there because there would be at least 4 cells before I could put the 1, and O is obviously a 6 or a 7. So that was actually quite easy once I focused on it. That's got to be a green. So, now that square's got to be a 6 or a 7 now because it's O, and we know O is 6 or 7. So O is 6 or 7. H, F. F can't be 4 anymore because I can't make a 2-cell sandwich add to 4 without using a 1. So F is not 4. So F is not 4 up there. That means that's a 4. And F can't be 5 because 5's already in the column. So 5 must also be placed here. Right, so that felt like progress. Is it progress? Is it useful? So H, F and Y. H, F and Y have to be some combination of 4, 6, 7 and 8. But F can't be 4. So this is, now if we look at this, we've got a quadruple there on the numbers 4, 6, 7 and 8. So J, L and R must be the other digits. They've got to be 2, 3 and 5. So R is 2, 3 or 5. Oh, it can't be 2. There's a 2 in the row. So, so L and J. So R is not 2. L and J there must be a 2 in one of those two squares, because we know one of them is 2. And this is, they must be selected from 2, 3 and 5. This is definitely one of the most complicated sandwich Sudokus I have ever seen in my life, and I love it for that reason. Now, and I apologise if I'm being slow here, but this is quite complicated for me. Ones, look, we can lock a 1 into one of those squares by Sudoku. So this, the thing is, that could be a 2. Would really nice to get the value of f, wouldn't it? That would be helpful. Is there any more Sudoku we can do? 1s, 9s. No. Y. What's y equal to? So y is equal to 4, 6, 7 or 8. And the 9 is in one of those two positions. But there's a 2 in one of those two positions. Let's think about that. So if 9 is a 2-cell total, how does that... This is quite interesting, look, because you can't use a 2 or a 1 to make that 2-cell total. And actually R is 3 or 5. This is problematic, I think. So if this is a 2-cell total, Y obviously couldn't be 4 then. It couldn't be 6 because you can't use 2, 4 because the 2 is in one of those positions. And it can't be 8 because 1, 7, 2, 6, 3, 5 is not available. So this would have to be 7. Now I do not... Is there a problem with that? If it was 7, it would have to be 3 and 4 because it couldn't be 2 and 5. So this would turn into a 5. Oh, this is becoming a problem. This is... yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. This can't be 3, 4 because if it's 3, 4, look, that turns into a 5. This has to be a 2. And what do we put in this square? Well, in order to give this square a valid option, the only option for this square is to make it a 6. And therefore, that square is a 7. And that's not possible. You can't make O a 7 and have Y as a 7 because we know each digit has its own value. That is horribly complicated, but I'm going to take it. That's good logic. So what does this mean? Well, what it means is this Y cannot be a 2-cell sandwich. So this cannot be a 9. This has to be an 8. Once this is an 8, that's a... Oh, we're going to get the value of O. That's a 6. O is 6. That means that's a 6. That's a 6. O is 6. This has got to be 9 now. It's the only place it can go in the column. Now we can tidy up. O is 6. So Y and H can't be 6. So 6 can only go here in column 7 now. O is... Oh, O is 6. But it could be a 2. Could it be a 2-cell sandwich? No, it can't be a 2-cell sandwich because the 1 has to be in one of those. Yeah, this is brilliant. This is brilliant. Because the 1 has to be in one of those two squares, you can't have a 2-cell sandwich now because all of these are green. So it's a one cell sandwich, which means it must just be the number 6, and you can't therefore have the 6 at the edge, or it can't be in the sandwich. So this has to be 6, that has to be 1, that has to be 9. Now that must be important. This 1 fixes this is a 1. 9 now. Oh, 9 gets placed here. 9. So the F clue might be doable now. Look, and we can do loads of greens. I'm going to do lots of greens to make me feel like I'm making good progress. Yes, all of these turn green. That turns green, that turns green. All of those turns green, so this has to be a 9. And F. Well, look, F is a 2-cell sandwich. So if I make F 8, if I make this an 8, how do I make 2 cells add to 8 when I can't use 1, 7, 2, 6 or 3, 5? Not possible. F has to be 7. So F is 7. O is 6. Now if F is 7, this is a 7. Oh, Y now has to be in this square and it can't be 8. And Y can only be 4 or 8, so Y is 4. So that's 4, H is 8, and we are starting to cook with gas here. Now, let me just take stock and try not to miss anything too straightforward here, because this feels very much like a breakthrough. 4. This can't be 6. Look, we can eliminate 6 from the whole of that line, which makes this forced to be a 5, that's forced to be a 7, that's forced to be an 8. We get the 3, the 2, that should be a 6. That's a 6 by Sudoku. This is a 6 by Sudoku, and we have, no, yes, we have now done all the 6s. This 2 means we get a 3-5 pair in box 6. 8 is placed by Sudoku. These 2 squares have got to be 2 and 4, which is not resolved yet, at least not that I can see. So that means that square should be a 3 or a 5. So we've used our O clue here. Yeah, let's carry on with the F clue. F is 7. We know it must be a 3-4 pair, so we can just write that in. That gives us gives us all the digits we need along here. This squares can only be an 8. The 8 gets placed here and here by Sudoku, and therefore also hopefully there. Those 2 squares have got to be 2 and 7, I think. We can see the 7 there is forcing the 7 over to the right. That fixes the 2, 5 at the bottom. So L was 5, J was 2, R must be 3. That places the 3 here. Now 5, 4 and 7, that's got to be a 4. 5, 7 pair into those 2 squares. These 2 squares have got to be 2 and 3, I think. You can see we can do that. So 3 and 2 like this, 2 and 4. Place the 4 here, place the 5. I'm doing this slowly. I really don't want to make a mistake. I was on Discord earlier and you guys were asking me how often videos get sort of consigned to our recycle bin as a result of messing up puzzles, and I reckon it's about 1 in 6. It's not that many, but I always feel incredibly guilty, because obviously if a puzzle passes all our testing and then gets to the point where it's a video, you really want it to see the light of day. Now this has to be a 2 because it's on the thermometer. Look, this square therefore has to be a 3, 4 or a 5 because it's got to lie between 2 and 6. Well, it can't be 3 and 4, it's got to be 5. That places a few more digits. The 3 fixes the 3 and the 5 here. These squares have got to be 2, 3 and 4. You can see we can place them all. Therefore, this has got to be 4, 5, and 7. Can we? Yeah, that's a 7. That's a 4. That's a 5. Oh, we're closing in. 7 and 3 here. 2 and something there. 2 and 5. And hopefully, if I put a 7 in here, that's going to work. Now, of course, my check function is not available to me today, so I'm going to have a quick look at this. Oh, and I've got to remember there's a trick at the end, isn't it? I have to decode things. I've got to decode letters or something. I can't remember where the letters were. There was 4th along here. Well, that string doesn't look like it spells anything useful, does it? 4th... was it of 67? And then July was sort of doing a zigzag at the bottom, something like that. 2514? Don't know. And then we have the sandwich clues. We've got F was 7, 4, U, F was 17. 1776. That was, of course, the day. Right. So the reason, of course, I didn't recognise this is that in becoming independent, you adopted this peculiar way of putting your months before your days. So this square, of course, should be a 4, but is actually a 7. And this should be a 7, but is actually a 4. So this is the date of American independence here, coming across the top. Slightly misstated, but, you know, we'll forgive you. Just kidding, of course, as well. So Alexander Rappa, that is one amazing puzzle, and I hope the solution is correct. I really enjoyed that, but that was very, very hard. 41 minutes on the clock, and I don't think I was that slow. Let me know in the comments how you found it. Happy Independence Day to everybody. And, oh yeah, do check out the video, Rob's video, on reducing stress as well. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.